right, hello, and back for another podcast where two people you don't know tell you what to think and what to like. We got such popular feedback from our last one that we decided, you know what, it's time for another one. That last one, in case you're tracking, which I doubt anybody is, was only about 6 hours ago. And I don't think we received any feedback, but we decided we're going to do this anyway because we like it, and it doesn't matter what you think because we're still going to do it. So, like it, hate it, whatever, we're going to do it anyway. So, I am joined, as always, by Crystal.
Hello.
We have our hot coffee, our toothpicks. We're ready to start. That's a little insider, so you don't need to worry yourself about that one. Tonight we're going to be talking about American Mary, a horror movie, which is puzzling because it's called American Mary, but almost everything about it is Canadian, from the actors to the place it was filmed. So it's already kind of a weird title for a movie that has nothing really to do with America that I can tell.
I'm starting to think that Canada or Canadians is... Canada.
Yeah.
has a perception of Americans out of this movie. That's the only thing American out of this whole movie.
I think they do. I think they think, well, it couldn't possibly happen in Canada or Canada, but you know what? It happened in America because they're so violent and angry down there.
And yeah.
What have you ever done, Canada? Little subsidiary of Britain. Anyway,
they're known for being nice, aren't they?
Yeah, I know. Don't you know? Anyway, not to all of our present company Canadian fans are excused, of course. So, American Mary, it's a 2012 horror film which follows the life of Isabel. I'm sorry, not Isabel. It follows the life of a what is the main character's name?
Mary.
Is it Mary? Cut. We're gonna restart this movie. Anyway, follows the life of Mary, who's an aspiring surgeon, and as she tries to get further ahead, she finds herself in very compromising situations where she is being requested to perform body modifications on people. So rather than doing the kind of surgery she thought she'd be doing, or that she thought she'd be going to school for, she ends up doing a lot of freelance body modifications, which, leads to a lot of very gory scenes, is the main crux of the storyline. How does she handle this change in her life? I'm going to let Crystal talk a little bit more about the actual...
Okay.
what the plot line is. I mean, I gave you kind of a loose basis, but what's the rest of it? I mean...
All right, let's squeeze on.
Because there's a reason she starts getting into this. I mean...
Right. And this is one of those things that if you ever had a conversation with me...
Nobody has.
No, I'm a loner. I've always talked about how certain things happen in your life that lead you to drastically change into a completely different person. So I think this movie kind of follows that same kind of, concept. So Mary, as he mentioned, because it's called American Mary, that is her name, Mary Mason. And she's aspiring to be a doctor, or she's a medical student. And she goes to classes and essentially she's broke. So at the very beginning, she's going to classes, but she can't afford paying her bills. So she desperately looks online. And while she's having a conversation on the phone, she's desperately looking at ads on Craigslist to try to make some money on the side. And she finds an ad and she goes to the strip joint. Because she doesn't want to exploit herself more than that, but she definitely wants to at least make some money without having to do, go across that line. Then she, hope I'm not skipping anything here. Oh, let me rewind back, because while she's sitting in class, before we find out that she can't afford her bill, she's sitting in class with this most vulgar professor that I ever what kind of professor acts like that? The way that he talks to her, cursing and
Yeah, so just to set the scene correctly, she's right. Mary is checking something on her cell phone for like a split second during the middle of the lecture. The professor happens to catch her doing it and says, "What the you doing, Mary?" Like in the
Like,
middle
who
of the
says
class.
that?
You know, I've been to a lot of classes. I don't remember many professors saying that. And afterwards, Mary goes and apologizes to the professor, you know, saying, "I'm sorry I distracted the class," or whatever. He's like, "Well, don't F up again." You know, it's just like, well, that's undeserved.
Rude and
yeah.
no professor would
he's
talk like
instantly
that.
dislikable. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
This is her professor, who plays a greater role
Later
as the
on.
movie progresses. But you already stated she's broke, and she decides to do what all of us have done in our times of desperation: is how can we sell our bodies to make additional money?
You've done that?
Oh, we've all been there. You know, I was young and needed to work. Whatever.
In Baltimore?
You know, no, not in Baltimore.
On the corner?
No.
The Blue Light District?
No.
No,
You haven't heard of it, so don't worry.
Okay.
It doesn't exist.
But anyways, going fast forward to the part of her going to the strip joint. She meets the owner of this club. Peter?
Sure.
No, Billy. Completely different. I'm bad with names.
Billy?
I had these names before we started
His name
talking.
isn't important. He just runs the strip club.
Well, it's kind of important because when we reflect back to who we're talking about. Anyways,
We'll
he's
just say
like,
the guy that ran the strip
he
club.
seems like he's high on drugs, or he's on some sort of drugs.
No,
but
he is on drugs. He is already coked out of his mind when she comes in for her interview.
yeah, so she goes and she does an interview. She even has a resume printed out.
Mary is as squeaky clean as you can get.
Right.
She brings a resume to a strip club interview.
and has her, her medical stuff on there, like what's
Like her
what are some
contact
things- yeah.
information and everything.
Well, yeah, and as she's doing the interview, she has, of course, lingerie on underneath, and he asks her to strip, and then
But you can wear
give
that
him a
to any
massage.
interview. I mean, that's a
No,
big
it's
part
not.
of
It's
that's
not.
a big part of the business interview nowadays. You know, you offer to give the person that's
For those
interviewing you
who
massage.
are listening, I'm giving the dirtiest look to him, just so you guys know, because you guys can't see us. Anyways, so she's giving him a massage, and one of the bouncers or whatever he is runs in and then's
He
like,
looks like the guy that's like the star of Machete. You know,
right? He's pretty big.
he's big, but he's got like that, like Fu Manchu going on and everything.
He barges in and needs the immediate attention of the owner. So he walks downstairs into the basement and then comes back up to talk to Mary and says, you have a medical background. Can you come downstairs and do something for us?
Well, no, he says, "Do you want to earn $5,000?"
Right. So she's desperate for money. He's willing to give her $5,000, no questions. Just like after that, cash. That's it.
So
gone.
She trots down there, and there's a man bleeding profusely on what looks like some kind of.
Well, his eye was like.
Yeah. Well,
gone.
This guy has obviously been. He's had a rough day, and Billy or Peter or whatever his name is that
Billy.
owns the strip club tells Mary, "I'm not ready for this guy to die yet, so just do what you can to keep him alive a little bit longer." And so she performs a little razzle-dazzle surgery
Right.
on him and walks out, gets tossed a roll of bills. Hopefully it was 5,000. I don't think she counted. And then she went back to her apartment and proceeded to throw up and cry.
She didn't throw up
in
then.
the shower.
She threw it up a
Yeah,
different time.
well,
Anyways,
yeah.
she was grossed out, and it was not a good moment for
Mary's first, outside of hospital surgery.
her. Well, she's
is,
never
is,
done
unscripted
anything,
surgery did not
right?
go well.
So she's never performed on human bodies. She's she's performed on turkeys. At the beginning, she was sewing up the turkey, like as the intro.
Which, if you
Giving it
are a
stitches.
surgeon and you're listening to this, why? The other question I have is that true? Do you use turkeys as kind of practice
Yeah.
To
I
do
don't know.
so to do sutures
I'm
and stuff like that.
interested in that too.
I don't know. She was sewing that turkey up like there's no tomorrow.
Yep. Anyway, anyhow, so with that, the next day she gets a phone call from one of the strippers who found her resume named Beatrice. And Mary ends up hanging up the call like, hey, you've got the wrong number. I'm not the right person. And then just hangs up and doesn't answer the phone anymore. And Beatrice has her address because it's on the resume. Ends up going to her house, which they intercom in. This person intercoms in. Same voice. She's got this high-pitched, like...
Mary is not the sharpest tool in the shed, let's put it this way. She's smart, but she's not that smart because the voice on the phone is distinctive. This person shows up at her apartment complex, claims to be a delivery man, and needs her to sign for the package. The exact same voice, yeah.
Got a package for you?
Yeah. Totally sounds like that. And Mary's like, yeah, sure, whatever. You know,
bring it
buzzes
up.
her in.
Yeah.
She comes in, and lo and behold, it's the chick that's been trying to contact her on the phone. Except, this is when things get a little interesting. Beatrice isn't just some stripper. She's a stripper who has an obsession, and her obsession is to look like Betty Boop.
My Strange Addictions.
Yes, so if you've ever seen the show My Strange Addictions,
Makes me
this
think of
isn't
that.
that far-fetched because there's a lot of people who pay to have surgery to look a certain way. Some of them to look just like cartoon characters. There was that one
Dolls.
episode we watched. The guy tried to look like Justin Bieber. I mean, it was awful. I mean, the guy looked terrible.
Well, he looked
But
just
anyway.
like him.
Yeah, sure he did. Yeah, well, ugly. Yeah, sure. But
Hey.
yeah, what?
Everybody's
Hey,
beautiful.
that's right. Is it
Haven't
too late?
you learned?
Is it too late for me to say sorry?
Oh my gosh.
Anyway,
You went a little far with that one.
no, not too far. Anyway, so Beatrice shows up looking like a very weird Betty Boop wannabe. And Betty Boop, if you're not familiar, is like a 40s or 50s cartoon. She's not a real person. And so she's trying to make herself look like a cartoonish figure.
The high-pitched voice.
Yeah, the face
Kinda like
and everything like
when
that.
Popeye came out, right? Didn't they come out around the same time?
I don't know. I didn't do any research. Maybe
But
we
they
should
have the same... Anyway, if they look like cartoons that were made from the same year.
Super
decade.
cartoony looking.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, Betty Boop, Beatrice, basically wants to enlist Mary's services for a friend of hers. A friend of hers has a very special request, and Mary reluctantly agrees, and I'm kind of summarizing a little bit here, reluctantly agrees to go and meet her friend for $10,000.
Yeah.
So...
And $2,000 just to show up.
Yeah, so Mary is, of course, enticed by the money yet again. She's just got $5,000, but apparently she needs more. So she agrees to meet with Beatrice at a friend of hers' doctor's office.
Yeah, I think
after
it was like
hours.
her niece. She's a receptionist there, so it was a veterinary clinic.
Yeah.
I read more into it, and I was like, what?
Okay. Yeah, so I guess it's not a doctor's. It's a vet clinic, which is weird.
Yeah.
Because I didn't get that impression being in there or watching it. But anyway, she shows up, and Beatrice basically takes her into her back room and says, "This is my friend. She'll tell you what she wants." And
it's
her
Ruby.
friend,
Ruby's her name. It's important
Ruby?
to know names. Yeah.
Ruby? Okay.
Yeah.
Her friend Ruby is even more plastic looking than
Oh my
Beatrice. And Ruby is a special gal. She wants...
She doesn't
has-
want to be sexualized, so she didn't get the plastic surgery to become a sexual object. And then she explains how a doll, whenever you have a doll undressed, no one ever thinks of it as a sexual piece of plastic.
What about
right?
sex dolls? Those are just
But the one
big
thing we're talking
dolls.
about Barbie dolls that don't have those parts. So that's essentially the whole idea.
She wants to be a human Barbie doll,
Without
right down to the way the anatomy is
like a
is
Barbie,
designed
like
in
a Barbie doll.
Where
Yeah.
a Barbie doesn't have
Where
any features,
there's
any details.
no-
Yeah, and there's no
Yeah. Well, it's not. There's no hoo-has.
Yeah. No chi-chis.
No chi-chis and hoo-has.
Yeah, that's right. So
We're being decent here.
yeah, very decent. Anyway, that's what she wants, and Mary goes ahead and gives her what she wants. She says, "Okay, if that's what you really want." So she puts her under and cuts away the chi-chis.
I didn't actually look.
And cuts
he did.
off the hoo-has.
You looked at. Did they even show in the movie?
No, they didn't
okay,
show.
good, because I can't look at that kind
It
of
was
stuff.
painful
I
for
had
me,
to
and I
look
don't even
away.
have those parts. So
Well,
I was watching. I was
anytime-
like, oh.
Anytime something in movies where it happens to guy parts, I'm not a guy, but I still cringe.
Of course.
I'm like, oh.
Somebody cutting off something of you.
I cringe every time I think
that's
about
right.
Bradley Manning being Chelsea.
Who? What?
Bradley Manning, Chelsea Manning.
Oh.
Yeah, I cringe
Really?
at that.
That's, yeah, okay.
I'm like, what?
You didn't have to watch that on film.
No.
Anywho,
Sorry,
we
guys.
watch Mary
Sorry, not
perform
sorry.
the surgery. She finishes and basically tells Beatrice, who's waiting patiently in the lobby, you know, your friend's going to be all right. Just make sure she takes this, does that, doesn't, you know, gets lots of rest and sleep and whatever, you know.
Right.
Don't call me in the morning. That's the end of that. Then we move on to the next chapter of the movie, and this kind of sets the scene. So we've already seen that Mary is desperate for money, but she's also
Been kind of pulled in.
to doing certain things that she wouldn't normally do for weird situations. Next part of the movie is when it gets interesting. So she is approached. She's doing her rounds with one of the professors at the hospital, and one of them mentions that there's going to be a party later that evening at the professor's house, and that, you know what, how would she like to come and join some actual surgeons and hang out with them? You know, she'd be kind of, you know, invited into the inner circle, because she's not quite a surgeon yet, and all these established surgeons are going to be hanging out, and they ask her to come along.
She's super excited.
Yeah.
Beatrice meets her again outside, though, before she gets invited to this party, and gives her this box as a gift, and it has this really pretty dress that from Ruby, I'm assuming.
Is that what that was?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'm assuming, because where else would she get that dress?
I don't know. Okay, so Beatrice gives her a dress.
Yeah, right. And she wears this dress to the party. So she's, as a typical girl would, they look in the mirror, they get ready, they check their hair, and they've got this dress, and she's got this really...
Let's just put it this way.
Exposed,
the dress that she's wearing is completely inappropriate for her going to a party with a bunch of yet colleagues.
It's a front low-hanging dress, so
Super
it shows
low-hanging.
cleavage.
Oh, man.
It's gorgeous. It's a really pretty dress,
she
but
looks
it's
good.
too much for a party that I don't even know what she's trying. I think she's really trying to impress Dr. Grant.
So she's trying to impress somebody, but however, she gets to this party, which is like on the highest floor of this apartment complex, very ritzy area. She gets in, and almost immediately, all kinds of alarms are going off. At least to me, when I first.
Well, you didn't notice the first alarm that should have went off in your
What was
head,
that?
which was when she walked into that room and that Asian, I don't know,
That
the
was
Asian
the first
doctor.
alarm.
But while he was pulling her in,
Yeah.
there right behind her that she didn't notice, that you didn't notice either, was a woman in see-through baby doll like lingerie on. So like a baby doll is just like, it's got a bra top but a skirt underneath, but it's see-through in the skirt. Anyways, that's a baby doll dress, if you didn't know. Anyways, being pulled into a room, but it the thing kind of just to mention is that she was willingly going into there. But this Asian guy was super like weird.
That Asian guy
and
was
he's
like the absolute creepiest person I've ever seen in my life.
Like very perky and like, hi, yeah, let's go get you some drinks. And he's like, I'm a effing mother effer.
So
He
that's his
says that.
response. So she asks him what he does. Like, literally, she never meets this person.
I cut
and he's
people
like,
for a living.
He's like, I'm an effing mother effer, you know? And it's like, I just asked what you did for a living. That's what you do? And he's like, oh, I cut people up. You know, it's like, dude, this guy is creepy.
Really creepy.
It's super creepy.
And then the doctor that...
He had rapists written all over him.
You can't really say he was just
No.
out of it. I wouldn't say he had rapists written all over him.
I can't say that. He definitely had rapists written.
Anyways, so he gives her drinks and he kind of gives her like the motion, like the hand motion to like drink more, like holding one hand up.
Nice
He
and
can't see me,
intoxicating
but he
for
takes
us.
one hand like he's holding the drink, and then he's like moving the hand up and down underneath the cup to kind of give the hand motion to drink more.
So she's drinking a lot.
Yep.
One of the professors, the one that's hard with
Dr. Grant.
Dr. Grant,
The one that was cursing and
the one that's
vulgar at
been
the
kind
beginning.
of tough on her at
Yeah.
school, which you kind of either think he's just being a jerk or he's just really wanting her to succeed and driving her.
No, he's just a jerk.
Yeah, he comes and sits next to her at the little mini bar that's sitting there,
Yeah.
and he puts something in her drink.
I thought it was already in the drink.
Maybe it already was.
But yeah,
Either
at
way,
the
there's
beginning.
something already
They all
in the
knew
drink.
what they're all part of it.
Yeah, so basically the whole point of this party is to bring women back and basically in date rape them, essentially.
Right.
Put something in their drink. Mary starts to feel super wobbly and woozy, and
Being
as
incoherent.
she's losing like coordination and everything, Dr. Grant grabs her and carries her into the back room, spreads her on his bed or whatever
Video,
the bed
yep.
is, and then it proceeds to rape her.
And videotape it.
Yes, and videotape it. But he didn't just send her home or anything after that. She wakes up the next morning.
Why would you?
Yeah, she wakes up
if
the
you're
next
gonna
morning
date rape
in his
somebody,
bed, and
put them in a different bed.
yeah, she wakes up the next morning in his bed, and I think she figures out pretty much that she was taken advantage of,
Right.
and then goes home and proceeds to get angry and throws all her textbooks off the ground and everything else.
Because she no longer wanted to be a student after this. So he essentially, this is like what I said, things happen in your life and they completely change you. So after that happened, she quit med school and she went to that strip joint and talked to Billy and got all his minions and, well, basically said, I need a favor, and gave him money. So, working out that deal. So they go and they get Dr. Grant
So
and take him back.
yes, so they take him down to that cellar where she was first introduced to the opportunity to do surgery at the beginning of the movie, and Billy and his goons have grabbed Dr. Grant and strapped him to a gurney of
Yep.
some kind, and Mary proceeds very calmly to explain to him that she has been doing a lot of body modification recently.
She's changed
She's
her
changed-
not
yeah,
career,
yeah.
but she's changed interests.
Yeah,
She no longer wants
specialty
to
or
be a
something like
medical student. She wants to do body modification because after looking at Ruby, what she did with Ruby, Beatrice always hinted on like, hey, check out her website because she now is a doll and she's actually publicly displaying like some of these things that have been done to her. So that's how she got interested in body mod.
Well, so Mary essentially, she learns that it can be very profitable for her to
Right.
do this work, and that there's people that would be willing to pay her a lot of money to do it because a lot of surgeons wouldn't be willing to do it, and she's good at it. So she goes downstairs. Dr. Grant strapped to the gurney, and she basically tells him that there's a couple of things that she needs to practice before she can get much better. Some clients of hers want her to do certain kinds of work that she's not necessarily ready for, so she decides she's going to practice on Dr. Grant. One of them is
Tongue
amputating.
splitting.
Yeah, tongue
Is the
splitting.
first thing, yeah.
Amputating one arm and putting it on another arm or another side of your body. What was some other things? Genital.
So yeah, she took pictures of all these procedures that she essentially practiced on him. The first one was tongue splitting. I don't know if she did amputation, which you later on see what he looks like because he's still alive. But
yeah, well, so she does this, and then we assume because the next scene, it seems like some time has passed since this has occurred, and we kind of assume that Dr. Grant was killed and that Billy and his goons somehow got rid of him,
right?
Dumped him somewhere.
So they didn't show him till later on.
Later on, we find out that she's kept him alive in a storage, essentially like a storage room or warehouse, so that she could continue to torture him for as long as she sees fit.
And it seems like it's been months because she's essentially transformed into this new person. after this tragedy happened. And she's walking out, like, and you'll see her like walking out to the street, and this police officer approaches her and asks, like, did you ever work with Dr. Grant? So they know that he's missing, they just don't know where he is. So never proclaimed dead then. And then again, during these like months of her growing to be body modification specialist, I don't know if that's an actual thing, she moves out of her crappy apartment that she could barely afford before, because now she's making lots of money, and she has her own, like, it seems like a huge studio apartment, which I thought was pretty nice. Like, so this movie really catered to my gothy inside, by the way. I'm just gonna point that out. My gothy feels about things, because I really liked Mary.
People performing forced surgery on people really appeal to your
because she turned dark.
Side, huh?
She turned dark, and then the whole time I'm rooting for her because of what happened to her, and that she got date raped, and what she was doing to Dr. Grant. I was like, yes, he deserves it. Blah. And then towards the end, I was like, oh, that poor guy. But I still rooted for Mary. Anyways, so yeah, she has the apartment.
So she's turned this into a legitimate business now. Mm-hmm. She has people coming in and out. She's got consistent clients. And all the time, detectives are coming and talking to her about the missing Dr. Grant, because they've discovered his habits. They've discovered the videos of him raping various girls, and they know that she was one of the names on a list that he kept of girls that he had done this to.
Right.
Why he kept the list, I don't know. But anyway, he kept the list, so they know that there's more to their relationship than she's letting be known.
And at the same time, Billy, the club owner, the strip club owner, actually has like these desired feelings for Mary, the new Mary.
Yeah,
he takes the tape. He takes the tape of her from that night, the recording from when she was raped, which the police never found. So they always kind of like asked, hey, has this ever happened to you? Because we didn't find a tape of you, but your name was on the list. So he had this weird obsession with her, Billy did, and he started being freaked out because Mary turned into this very, like, you know, dark person who had towards the end, she just has this, like, monotone voice, no emotion. She's emotionless. So it was really
gone
weird.
Full American.
Apparently that's American style.
That's right.
But yeah, I mean, then I think it was around the time when she got the phone call about her grandmother dying, because that was
that was kind of such a side note.
Yeah, I mean, not really necessarily.
Just to not linger here for too long. The other half, basically, things seem like they're going well for Mary, but they're about to go tragically wrong because the friend, Ruby, that she originally did surgery for, her husband comes home, and Ruby reveals that she has had her female parts removed.
Oh, yeah. And that would anger any guy, right?
Yeah, the husband is so angry that it's implied that he kills Ruby, hunts and finds Beatrice, and forces Beatrice to tell him who performed the surgery, because he wants to confront that person. Well, Beatrice is killed, but before she dies, she does two things. She reveals that it was Mary, because I guess she gave in to the torture, but she also calls Mary with her dying breath, letting her know that, hey, she's so sorry that she gave in and that, you know, she's got to look out. Shortly after that happened, Mary is attacked
in her apartment
by the husband, the enraged husband, who attempts to kill her. Mary fights back, and
how does she fight back? Because I remember, because he's a big guy.
I don't know.
And I can't remember what she did.
She had a knife or something like that. But subsequently, they both die. They both die.
She bit him.
She bit him. Either way, whatever she does, they both die.
Before you say that, I thought she was gonna live because she started crawling. Because she got hurt. Like, she was bleeding out. And she was crawling towards her medical supplies, and she started suturing.
So she gets stabbed, and then she grabs her medical equipment, and she starts repairing the stab wound. Looks like she's, like, suturing herself up. And you're like,
wow,
this is one
that's hardcore.
tough mamma jamma.
Mamma jamma, yeah.
But alas, it was not to be. I guess she just wanted to do one final surgical operation on herself before going to the other side.
It's like a little
yeah. Well, she went off.
Yeah,
she went out the way she wanted. So, and that is the end of American Mary. They find the evidence that she did, in fact, keep Dr. Grant, because they found basically a notebook that she'd kept of all the surgery she'd done on Dr. Grant. She kept photographs of them.
Of like his face. Why would you take a photo of his face?
I don't know.
I guess because of the tongue. But yeah, that's essentially the movie. It's like everybody rooted, because I was looking at the reviews, everybody rooted for Mary to live, and it didn't turn out that way. Some of the interesting things that we didn't mention was the actual body modifications that she did to people other than Dr. Grant. And one of them was like the Demon Twins is what they were called. Oh. And they wanted to... I don't know how we skipped this, but we wanted to get through the plot first.
Side note, because there wasn't really a big part
of
the plot.
But I thought it was so weird that, and I didn't know it could be possible, right? Where she amputated the arms.
So one of the clients, a famous set of clients that are known to be kind of like stars of the bod mod community, show up and they ask her to do two things. These are twin sisters. And they can't possibly live without the other. And they don't want the possibility of, if one of them dies, that the other one will not have some part of them connected. Because they're so connected, mentally and, physically located in the same spot all the time. So they request that Mary amputates an arm from each of them and switch it out.
Yeah.
So that, one sister has the arm of the other sister and vice versa.
Yeah.
Totally normal, right? Yep. No, not at all.
That was the biggest project she had, though.
She did it. She did it.
She wasn't sure if she could do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. Anyways. But, yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, that's
the movie.
That's pretty much it. And we're done. I'm just kidding.
What did you think? What did you think out of 5?
4.
4?
I actually thought it... First of all, if anybody really knows me, 4? I'm gothy on the inside, and it did make my gothy... innards happy. That sounds really weird, but if you know anything, I do like gore. I'm a fan of... It was really not that gory, but...
I will say this.
I'm a fan of weird stuff. Come on, I like skulls.
Again, I will go with the 3 because it's one of those movies, the more I think about it, the less enamored with it I am. However, for a movie that we picked totally off the fly and that I'd never heard of and had no expectations for, it surprised me with how good it was, given the fact that it was not obviously a super popular movie. I don't know if it was ever in the theaters or not. I doubt it.
No, it was Canadian, so...
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
However, so there are I'm looking at some Amazon reviews of people who really didn't like it. So on Amazon, there's a lot more 5 stars than there are 1 stars. 1 stars only make up 3%. One of the funniest headlines for a 1-star review says, "Warning: this movie is soul damaging."
Yes, I love soul damaging.
It says, "Went into it expecting a typical horror thriller slasher, but this goes way further, crossing many lines which should never be crossed. Highly disturbing. Would not recommend to anyone. You will feel sick and guilty when the credits start rolling." That to me makes it sound like that should have made it a good horror movie.
It did its job, right? I think that was their whole point.
And then there's one. Then there was one that was posted on October of 2014. This is the crappiest piece of crap movie I've ever watched in a long time. And the beginning of the paragraph says, "This is the crappiest piece of crap movie I've watched in a long time. I'm talking bad, reprehensibly bad, disjointed story, full of scenes that are clearly just filler with no substance or relation to the plot, and entirely too long. I wanted to like this movie. I really did. Truly a shame, because it is a beautifully filmed and acted movie. The story had promise, but it's just plain badly put together. The end is really stupid, too. Not as stupid as I was for actually watching this piece of garbage in its entirety, but still really stupid. I just kept thinking, it had to get better. It didn't. I'd give it 0 stars if this was an option.
Why don't they make 0 stars an option?
I don't know. You gotta give it something. And then finally, the final terrible review I saw.
It helps again.
Which is funny because the one review said it was too gory, and then we have this other review that says, the title of this review is "What a Piece of Shh." There is little to no gore in this film. No real violence, no plot. Don't purchase this film like I did and lose $10.
Where did $10? It's free on YouTube.
This film deserves no stars. Waste of time and money.
I kind of want to respond back and say, have you checked YouTube?
You're an idiot.
It's free there.
Yeah, but it may not have been free when he wrote this.
Well, it was on
2013.
Netflix until September. Like the beginning of this month.
Really?
Yeah. I was reading some stuff where they said, thank you for putting on YouTube because Netflix took it off.
Yeah,
because apparently in the month of September, Netflix takes things off.
Okay.
I'm assuming that's how they talk.
Thank you, Netflix. They talk like Beatrice from this
No,
movie?
that's like, thank you, Netflix. thank you, Netflix.
It sounds good to me.
No.
That's the movie. Do we have anything else that we didn't cover? No? All right.
That's pretty much it.
Thank you so much for joining us, and we will bring you more crappy movies and even crappier podcasts in the future.
I say watch American Mary.
I say watch it
even though we gave it away, but
I say watch it too. It's worth viewing.
If you are gothy and you like
your
body modifications and your innards being tickled,
that's right.
watch American Mary.
All right, guys. Later.
See ya.